It's springtime, and one of my mama chickens is teaching her babies how to find food. And she definitely fiercely defends those babies. Other chickens get close and she attacks them. So I wanted to remind you that it is the time of year when the baby animals are out with their mamas, and we've already had 2 bear attacks in the state of Alaska this year, with mama grizzlies attacking people who got too close. And not only are the grizzlies and the other bears dangerous this time of year, but so are the moose. So keep an eye out, be aware of your surroundings, and don't get too close to those mama bears or those mama moose. So I was really excited to see so many of you at my spring garden seminar last week. We had a great turnout, and yet I know there were a lot of you who wanted to be there but could not make it. So today I want to share a few of the tips that Fertilizer brought to us at the garden seminar. So enjoy the information that I'm about to present. Also, I wanted to let you know that I will be gone next week. I'm leaving May 9th to go down to a real estate conference in California, and I will be synergizing with great agents and lenders from all around North America, the United States and Canada. So I'm excited to come back energized the following week with lots of great tips and tricks on how to serve you even better. But while I'm gone, Chris will be here in the office, so feel free to call if you need anything, and he can take care of everything that you might need. Last week I had my annual spring garden seminar where Master Gardener Fertilizer gave us some really good tips and hints about gardening in Alaska. So today I want to share some of those with you for those of you who weren't able to make it. So the first thing is we have an early spring. Snow melted early, it warmed up early, and yet as eager as people are to plant, in some areas of town it's not time to plant yet. In fact, last night it was 34 degrees, and as Daryl said, 33, 34 won't hurt a plant, but 32, 31 will. So the way to tell if it's past frost in your area is whether or not the birch trees in your area have full leaves. These guys are starting to leaf out. The leaves are not full leaves yet, so it is not yet quite safe to plant here. It will probably be within a few days. The other thing he said is that our trees here in Alaska, our spruce and our birch and our other trees, have really narrow roots, or really shallow roots. They don't go down very deep because they need to be able to stay to the surface where the ground is warmer. So if you're putting in a new lawn, you can easily smother your trees and kill them. You want to make sure that you don't do that by not putting more than about an inch of topsoil a year on top of them, or you will smother them and kill the roots. So here the chickens have been digging around. We can put some more topsoil in. If the roots start coming through the grass, you can put topsoil on top of them. Just don't do more than about an inch in a year. Same thing with your grass. You can come through if you have some dips or some spots you want to level out. You can put ½ an inch to an inch of topsoil on top of the grass and it'll grow right through and it'll be just fine. Another thing we talked about is slugs. Slugs are the bane of our existence in Alaska. We have a real problem with them. They love the brassicas, the cabbage, the kale, the things with the big leaves, they hide underneath them. So a couple things we talked about. One is copper tape. This is coming off. I put it on a few years ago, but the copper tape around your raised garden beds or even copper wire around them. It has an electrical charge and the slugs don't like to go across it. So to keep the slugs from getting into your garden, copper tape or copper wire works really well. If you already have them in your garden, obviously that means they won't get out, so you're going to want to take care of the ones that are in there. Diatomaceous earth is a great way to kill slugs. It cuts up their little soft bodies. You can also do really, really finely ground eggshells around your plants. There's also beer traps, and of course there's slug bait and some other things, but the diatomaceous earth works really well to keep the slugs out of your garden. Another thing he talked about is our topsoils here in Alaska tend to compact, so you definitely want to add organic material. So for my garden here, we put in some chicken poo and bedding. There's a lot of different organics you can get. Compost is a great way to do it. You can buy compost, you can buy manure, and add it into your garden before you plant your vegetables. So another thing that Daryl talked about at the garden seminar was fertilizer, what the numbers mean and what we need up here. As he said, you don't need specialty fertilizer. All you need to do is look at the numbers. He says that they give their roses and their vegetables and their perennials all the same fertilizer. It just is based on the numbers. So the first number is going to be the nitrogen. That is going to be for your leaves and your blooms, shoots and blooms. The middle number is going to be for your root growth and root development. So the middle number is really important up here for things like trees and grass because they need good root development to live through the winter. And the final number is going to balance those two out and also provide some disease resistance. So he said here in Alaska, the first number, the nitrogen, is high in our native soils. So for most of what we're going to grow up here, he says a low first number, a high middle number, and a medium last number. So something like maybe a 5, 20, 10. or something like that is good for Alaska soils and good for what we're growing most of the time in Alaska. So that's your information on fertilizer. He also did say that it's about 50% fertilizer and 50% salts, and the salts can burn your plants. So if you fertilize the lawn, either do it right before it rains or go ahead and water right after you do it. He said if you put fertilizer down in the lawn and you go off fishing for 3 days, you're going to come back and find that your lawn has been burnt by the fertilizer salts. For lawn care, one of the things that Daryl said is really important is our grass really needs an inch of rain a week. So sometimes we get those times during the summer where it's kind of drizzly and overcast and we get a little bit of moisture every day, but it's less than 1/8 of an inch. So what happens is our lawns get thirsty. So as silly as it sounds, just because it's overcast, cloudy, and drizzly does not mean that your lawn is getting plenty of water. You want to make sure to dig down and see if it's actually wet underneath there. The other thing he talked about is your lawn really likes to have at least 4 to 5 inches of topsoil. So if you dig down and you have about 1.5 inches of topsoil, which a lot of times when builders put in a new lawn, that's all they put down, then you're going to want to add soil. Again, as I mentioned earlier, 1/2 inch to 1 inch per year, so it's going to be a multi-year project if you want to get your topsoil raised up enough for your lawn. The other thing he said is that our native soils here in Alaska tend to be very, very acidic. And almost everything that we grow, your vegetables, your lawn, almost everything up here, likes to have more of a neutral pH. He said between 6.5 and 7.0. You can get a simple pH test meter. They have them at Dimond Greenhouse and they have them at other places. And you can test your soil. He said take it from maybe 2 or 3 different locations, mix it together, and then test it. If it is acidic, you're going to want to add lime to bring the pH up. The exceptions are things like lilacs and blueberries that really do like acidic soil. So make sure before you do that that you know what you're planting and what kind of soil it likes.